Hey Vibe Gardeners, in this edition of Vibe Gardening Forum Edition, we're going to talk about one of the topics I think is extremely important for those of you who planted something that you really like this year. That is seed saving. If you really like what you got this season, one of the key ways of keeping your crop from coming back is going to be seed saving. So, with all these herbs and seeds here, we can get started. So, with that said, let's get going. So with seed saving, there's really, I would call three category of difficulty. We have the easy, which like this dill, can basically take it off the cluster here and just basically store it right away without any post-processing. And then there's what I call the intermediate kind, which are kind of like melons. You can take the seeds out of it, wash it, and then once it dries, you can store it. And then you got what I call the hard kind, which is like tomato seeds, where you have to basically let it ferment a little bit, get that gelatin stuff off of it, and then dry it before you can store it. The first plant we're going to talk about are these dill. This dill definitely falls under the easy category, which once you identify this cluster of seeds here, see how brown it is? It's all dried out. This is a prime candidate for saving the seeds of. Gotta do, you just snip it off like so, and you'll be able to take this and just take the seeds off once they're dried and then put it in a paper bag. So next here we have this cluster of cilantro seeds, or at this stage it's called coriander. This too, as you can see, is completely dried. It's ready to harvest. I'm gonna just take a whole bunch of these. I don't even know what I'm cutting here, but it's such a cluster here. There you have it. Now another fairly easy type of seeds to collect are these marigold and a lot of these flowers. What you can do is you can look at them and see that the whole flower head is wilted, and that signifies it's ready to be harvested. So got this other one. So yeah, these guys are ready to be harvested for seeds. One of the most important things about saving seed is that you need to be working on a white piece of paper, because the seeds can be small, can be hard to see when you start working. You want to be able to make sure that you can see them on a white piece of paper. And the next thing is when you're saving them, you want to make sure you're saving these in paper envelope, because that way it's going to keep the water from getting staying in the envelope. This will give you the highest viability with your saved seeds. And make sure you have the date of which you collected the seeds, what they are, especially variants, and where you collected them, so you can remember where they came from. So this is how you want to get started. Now the first stop we're going to be talking about how to save the dill seeds right here. What we collected, and we're going to start with just one of them. You can see here, this is quite easy. What we got to do is just grab a group, yank them off. As you can see, it comes just right off. It's probably the easiest seeds to save, and there's so many of them. And if you don't save all these seeds, you can use them for cooking. So if you don't have fresh dill to pickle with, these will be a great alternative for fresh dill for your pickling. And so your pickle can still taste quite a bit like dill and give you still that pop of flavor that you need. I think this is probably enough seed. As you can see, I only used 3 clusters on this whole head. And I have probably enough here for a whole entire seed package. And the cool thing about this is I can just basically fold it up, take the seed packet, open it up, funnel it, and dump it all in here. And there you have it. What you're gonna do is just rip it up, seal, and you're ready for next year. So On the bottom below, I'll have a link to these envelopes I have. These are actually for collecting coins, and they're extremely useful. As later I'll show you with how I catalog these for keeping the seeds. So next up, we'll be collecting these cilantro seeds, or sometimes called coriander. When you plant them, it's going to be a little bit of pain in the butt to get it right, but in this case, for saving, it's not all that bad. But so we gotta do, gotta take them, and just like previously with the dill, just pinch it off, get them off the branch, and as you can see, these are much bigger. And the reason behind that is cilantro. They have multiple seeds per coriander, and that's why they're so large. And also makes it a little bit more of a pain in the butt to be able to plant when you're trying to germinate them from seeds. I have another video later for both herb gardening and for starting seeds for next season to document how to tackle the difficulty of germinating um, cilantro from seeds. And again, same thing like the dill. If you can't use all these seeds, you can easily use it for cooking as well, as these are great flavors that you can use for whatever dish that calls for coriander. As I said before, we're going to separate them a little bit, and we're going to get some of this um, branches off, final branches. Doesn't have to be perfectly clean because, I mean, you will be separating out the seeds anyway as you're planting. And yeah, now we're ready to put it in this envelope. There you have it. Cilantro is ready for next year. And now the interesting thing about marigold is that you can't really just save it like this. What you need to do is you need to break off the flower petal, the dead flower petals first, discard it, and then you want to basically break it open and see how it basically pulls out to be seeds here. That's a lot of freaking seeds right here. And this is basically, you see how it's basically got that, you see, I don't know if you can see closely here, but it is really thin on one end and large on another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically, because I want the unpredictability and the variability of the colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mix up all three flowers seeds in one. As you can see, there's a lot of seeds in each one of these guys. You don't have to get every one of them, but you get, already you're getting a lot. And because these are open pollinated, they will have some of the best viability of any seeds that you can possibly have. Here's the orange one, and same deal. Break it open, loosen it up, comes right out. A whole clump. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if I have enough room for all of these. And the cool thing about marigold is that they make great tea as well. I've never tried it myself. My neighbors all told me about it. And I should really try them out just for some fun because as you can see, I'm getting more than I can use for next year. So if I do a chaos garden like one of my neighbors, I can probably do it. The final one for good measure. This is so much I probably will end up getting 2 bags for this whole group. It is actually quite a bit. And then for chaos here, I'm going to mix it all up a little bit. So there's some yellow and there's some orange ones. And there's so much of them, like I said, I'm not going to have enough room in this one tiny little bag for all of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff some of them in here and save save room for another one. So this is marigold. Quite a bit of fun to collect the seeds. We're ready for next year. So as promised, this clip is about saving the watermelon seeds. As you can see here, this is a nice little chunk from my local farmers with Jacob's Farm, and it's got plenty of seeds here, and it's organically grown, so we know it's good quality. So what we're going to do here is grab this little strainer and basically scoop these seeds right in here, if I can do that properly. Both sides harder than it should be. Either way, here it is. Probably more seeds here. I can probably try to get. The thing about these, which could have farm fresh watermelon, is that you can't quite predict what stage of life they're under. But these are high quality, and I know it's going to be good. So here we are. Kind of run on the water and wash it. Make sure you don't use any detergent or any chemical, because that may reduce the viability of these seeds. Give a nice little rinse, and that should be enough to make these guys ready for drying. The final step of this process is to just dump these seeds onto a plate or some kind of paper that's not going to essentially let the seeds stick on it and be able to peel off. But that can be your biggest problem. So once you put it on here, make sure it's fully dried, and then break it off the plate, and then put it in your seed envelope. This is the process of getting your watermelon seeds and cantaloupe and squash, pumpkin seeds, and all those seeds. You can actually save it this way. Right here you can see these tomatoes here. You want to get a tomato that is completely ripe, like this one. It's already quite red, and I fear if I leave it any longer, the squirrels might come and eat it. This is a prime candidate for receiving seeds of this tomato. Now the final thing that we're going to save right here is going to be the tomato, which is the hardest one. Need yourself a mason jar, your tomato, and a knife. What we're going to do is cut it in half. But these are Roma tomato, so they're going to have very defined and seed cavities, as you can see here. And so what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up going into these cavities and just dig out these seeds from the cavity. And you're going to basically extract them into the jar here. One more cavity in here. There we go. There's more seeds. So once you get the seeds in here, we can do, you can just fill it with water. That's enough. And now that you got the jar filled with water, you can take a piece of paper towel, cover it, and then just put a rubber band around it. Because you want to make sure that it's going to be not airtight. Because you don't want it to start molding anaerobically in here. So once you tie it up here, like so, it's loose, but it's covered. And this is going to be the starting fluid here. As you can see, everything is kind of setting at the bottom, which is good. Because if there's any floating seed, it tells you the seed is already dead. And you want to keep this thing away from the sunlight and the extreme temperatures. And this will essentially just sit there and ferment and let it ferment about 2 days. Once it's been there for about 2 days, it has gone through the rotting process, which is going to get that gelatin shell off the seed. And then you basically would drain out some of the water If anything's floating, let it drain out. And then you mix more water in there, stir it, and rinse and repeat. And finally, you're going to use a strainer like we saw with the watermelon seeds. Dump it in there, get the rest of the gelatin off, and then rinse it clean and dry again on a plate, like with the watermelon seeds. This is how you basically get that protective layer of the tomato seeds. Technically, you can probably get away with keeping it on there, as we saw from other content creators, but this is going to guarantee you the best fertility and viability of your seeds. So this is how you prepare tomato seeds. And the final thing here that I want everyone to see is my seed collection strategy for cataloging it. And so as you can see here, I have a binder with tabs with the date, the year, and the category it is in. You can see here, this is 2025 veggies right here. So once you go in here, you will see all my saved seeds already from this year. My hatch peppers, but then I have my already got some Roma tomato seeds in here. So this way, with these film, this film for collecting the envelopes in here, it's not airtight. Air can get in and out easily. I will link all these things I've used, the divider and the sleeves, on the description below, so you can use some of the techniques I have here for storing the seeds. And then I also have a metal case I discovered to be quite good. It's not in this video, that I will also link below as well for you to help you with your seed saving journey. So as you can see, this episode we talked about how you can save seeds from simple things, like those that are just dried. You can take it, put it in a bag, and get ready to go. To the more intermediate, which are things like melons, where you have to basically take it out, wash it, dry it, store it, and the more advanced things like tomatoes, where you have to basically scoop it out, ferment the seeds so that the gelatin outer shell is going to come off, and then dry it before you can store it. So you're seeing all these things, and hopefully that's going to give you the idea of how to get your crop to continue next year. And another big deal that you should remember is that when you are out here doing open pollination like this, the more your pollinators out here, the more viable your seeds are. And there's a lot of things that I didn't cover here that the professional seed sellers do that make their seed even more viable, like seed scratching and stuff like that. But I'm just a backyard gardener. I don't need to do production like a professional would. So this is how I do it, and I'm getting about 2/3 viability, sometimes 3/4, and sometimes a little lower, depends on where it's coming from. But like I said, if I can keep my pollinators happy, and if I can sieve the seeds correctly, as long as I go for the seeds that are the most mature and ripe um, plants, either be a flower or fruit, I'll be able to get seeds that gives me the best chance. So hopefully that'll help you continue your garden like it has helped me continue my garden into year 2. And this is going to be me going to year 3. So with that said, let's keep gardening and vibing.